everyone. So today I want to talk about another personal story, and this one has to do with being a student and specifically how to deal with a difficult class. So my story begins in college, and I think at this point I was either a sophomore or a junior, and I was taking intermediate accounting. And the thing with this class is I had a lot of problems with the professor's teaching style. The way that I learn accounting, it's a little bit more structured. I like to have a very clear kind of path and guidance as to what it is that is expected from me and what I expect to see in maybe the coming exams or the rest of the semester. And this is just not the way this professor worked. This professor was very they had a particular way of understanding accounting themselves, and then that didn't always translate very clearly to students. It was difficult to understand what was going to be tested or what portions of what the professor was teaching was important and what wasn't. So there were a couple of things that I had to do. Yes, whenever you're struggling with a course, recognize that you're going to have to put in a lot of work. So I did. I was frequently studying in the library, trying to do the best that I could with what I had. I believe that communication is the key to anything. So I had a couple of conversations with the instructor, and I would go to any office hours that they had, or if they were willing to do tutoring sessions, I was there. So whenever you're in that position, for me personally, again, the point of this story is to share my personal experience. I am not the type of person that just bails and decides, it's not a good fit, so I'm going to go somewhere else, or I'm going to do a different class with another professor. That is an option. In the midst of it all, I think it was like midway through the semester, I was talking to my sister, my older sister, via phone, and she told me, why didn't you bring this up sooner? Like, you could have left the class and you would have just gotten an A. I think it's like an incomplete or something. There's a way that it doesn't actually impact your GPA. Might still show up on your transcript, but at least it doesn't impact your GPA. And I remember telling her, I didn't know I could do that. So first of all, yes, you can do that. There are options for you. So typically most schools have a policy. So maybe within the first week, if you decide to leave, you can leave and have absolutely nothing show up on your transcript. Nothing impacts your GPA. I think after maybe the first month or the month and a half, you can leave and then it shows up on your transcript as an incomplete, but it doesn't impact your GPA. So there are a couple of things that you can do before you get to that point and before you're actually failing or really struggling in that course. Do your best to talk to your counselor or your career coach or whomever is at the campus and make sure that you understand those rules. For me personally though, that wasn't an option. That wasn't something I was willing to do. This was a course that I needed to take regardless. So for me it was you're already in the course, now you have to push through. So that's the experience and kind of the mindset that I have. Throughout my 4 years, I never once withdrew from a class or did something to void that class. That just wasn't how I chose to manage my education. But like I said, do what works best for you. Make sure that you are well informed as to the deadlines, as to when you can make those decisions. And if that's the best choice for you, go ahead and do it. Do not feel bad about that. So I made the decision I was going to stick to the class. I went to the office hours. At my school, they had tutors, and so you can definitely leverage tutors. I think I did once or twice, but I did the majority of my studying just independently. The other thing that I did though was have very clear communication with my instructor. This was a really difficult time because it was also the time period when you were looking for internship opportunities. So I was sometimes having to be out, and that created some challenges as well. So I would just let her know, I want to sit with you afterwards. I know I have to miss this class. Can we talk about this subject live in your office? And this person was always willing to do that. So just because the learning or the teaching style is different from your learning style, it doesn't mean you can't work together. As a professional now, I think it's really important that students work on improving their ability to work with different people. You won't always be in a team where everyone's styles will be the same. So the more that you practice that, the better. And again, that goes to my point of I choose not to quit the class. Instead, I would just do my best to work through it. Communication is key. Be honest, be open, keep your word. So if I told her I was going to show up for office hours, I would show up for office hours. She was not going to fail me for a lack of effort, right? That was not an option. So after doing all of that, I also, like I said, was willing to put in the time to actually improve as much as I could in the subject and in the different chapters. So I would do my best. I think at the end of the day, maybe you won't get the grade that you wanted, but at least you're putting in all of the effort. You will be better because of that. So learn as much as you can and perform as well as you can. If you end up, my parents used to always tell me this, if you end up with a C at the end of the semester, at least be proud of your C, knowing that you put in all of that effort and knowing that you did your best. Don't leave, you know, a poor grade. Don't make that poor grade just be a reflection of a lack of effort. Instead, put in all of the discipline and the time that you can, and then work with what you got, right? So this, like I said, was a class that was difficult for all of the students. Everyone struggled. I remember all of us would complain about it, and some people truly did not, they were not successful. They could not pass the course and they had to retake it. For me, fortunately, thank God, I was able to pass with a grade that was pretty satisfactory, enough for me to get through and enough for me to say, okay, cool, I'm done with that. Like I said, there isn't much you can do when you're stuck with a different style that might be a little different from yours, beyond just trying to commit and do your best. But as a student, my words of advice are be persistent. Try to adapt to the different styles, be open and communicate. Do not wait until the last minute. So if you're struggling at the beginning of the semester, start that conversation then. Do not wait until it's 2 weeks before grades come out, because by that point the professor knows that you are just stressed and scrambling, and they're not going to be as merciful, if I can say, as they would be if they see your effort throughout the semester. Know that a lot of instructors and professors, they recognize that students are really trying, and sometimes, who knows, sometimes I like to think that they're good people as well, and that they want to see their students succeed. So sometimes they might actually be willing to work with you, maybe via office hours or maybe offering extra credit. And if that's the case, don't waste those opportunities. I knew a lot of people that for some reason, actually I know a lot of people to this day, don't go to office hours. If extra credit is available, they're like, well, I don't know if I have time for that. Make time for that. Again, show that you really want this to go better, and you never know, that extra credit might truly make the difference. So I was able to be successful in the course. It was not my best grade, it was not my best class, it was not my best semester in that regard, but I learned through it, and I'm proud of the fact that I did not bail. I'm proud of the fact that I committed to it and that I pushed through the challenges, and that at the end of the day I was successful. The other piece of advice that I would say is none of this determines your whole future. So all of these classes together combined build your GPA, which in essence is going to help you when you go out there and look for jobs, apply for internships, etc. But one thing is not going to ruin your life, so don't let it consume you in that manner either. Do the very best that you can. Know your options. If you have to retake a course, retake the course. If you are at month in feeling like this is not going to work, this is not a good fit, then go ahead and withdraw and you know, work through the next steps. The other thing I would say is take advantage of the various sites out there. I know there's like Rate My Teacher, and it's basically reviews for your instructors. Go on those sites and see what people are saying. But sometimes there's truth behind those statements. So feel free to do that as well. And overall, just remember that college and school and courses are about you learning, and sometimes grades don't reflect that, and that's unfortunate, but it is something that you can work with. So don't be so hard on yourself that you don't actually get to learn through the process. For me, even though, like I said, it wasn't my best grade, not my best course, not my best semester, it still was a great learning experience overall. I learned a lot about myself, and I did develop additional skills through that course. So I hope this story was interesting. If you have any questions, feedback, or comments, do not hesitate to leave them down below. Thank you.